Well, the problem becomes you got all these denominations, all these types of religions, and everybody wants to say they're right.
Well, welcome to the True Man Podcast. I have another great podcast for you today. I consider myself to be fortunate enough that God has honored me to be the primary caretaker of the True Man brand and this podcast. Now, I've had the great opportunity to meet a lot of wonderful people over the last 18 months or so, and they have helped me gain a better understanding of that, what it requires to be a big thinker and have a positive mindset. So today, I'm privileged to have a guest on that has helped me envision something bigger. And by the way, he may have the most accomplished resume of anyone I've ever had on the show. How about that, Jessie? So
Wow.
welcome to the podcast, Dr. Jessie Bowen, to the show today. Jessie holds a PhD in Christian humanities. He's authored more than 28 books on martial arts, meditation, sports performance, and motivation. He's a 10th degree black belt in martial arts, a former professional bowler on the PBA tour, and he taught at Duke University for more than 28 years. Now, he's president of the American Martial Arts Alliance Institute and, God bless him, Elite Publications, who's helping me develop my books, which is a monumental task, let me tell you. Jessie, such an honor to have you on the True Man Podcast today.
Well, Mike, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I mean, I think I moved up the ladder. Making your podcast has just moved me up the ladder a little bit. So,
yeah,
thank you. You do a great job, and really, it's a great opportunity to actually be here with you. So, thank you.
Yeah. So Jessie's got a new book out, God Forgives, Why Not You? And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, But Jessie, you've got such a great list of accomplishments. It's long, it's incredible. How did you develop that intestinal fortitude to be so driven? Where and how did that start?
Well, I guess it started by, back in the 80s. Actually in the 70s, when I met my martial arts instructor that told me I could be somebody. And, graduate in high school, no one ever had talked to me about goals. No one had ever talked to me about success. I lived in Eastern North Carolina, and my dad was expecting for me to be a farmer and all that stuff. And I escaped from my hometown. By the time I was 21, I'd never been 60 miles from my hometown. And, God has been moving in my life all my life. As I go back, I think of the very first time he saved my life. So there's a long story behind it, but, God just opened doors for me to be moved out of one environment to another one to upgrade me. So I've been on this upgrade thing. So everything that you talk about, I've done. It's God constantly upgrading me and opening new doors and opening new people to be able to fit to a purpose, and been working on me for a very long time. But, I got involved in the martial arts because I couldn't defend myself, and I didn't want to be beat up anymore, especially at the age of 21. Back in the day, when you turn 21, you're supposed to be a man. I don't know where that concept is now. I don't hear people talking about it anymore.
No.
But growing up, 21, you were considered a man, and I didn't want to get picked on or beat up anymore. I got involved in the martial arts, and I went to tournaments and lost every event I ever went to. And it was just one day something snapped after I failed my green belt test, and I was getting ready to quit, throw everything in the trunk of my car and ride off in the sunset and never do martial arts again. And I started teaching when I was a green belt, martial arts. And one of the students I was teaching, she came out and she said, "So if we fail, we should quit." That was the moment leadership was born. Because I'm teaching and I've got these people that are following me in the class. I'm teaching under my instructor. And when she said that, something snapped. I looked at it and I said, "No, I reached in my 1976 Monte Carlo with the T-top.
That's a nice car. That's a nice car, Jesse.
And I pulled out my gear and I went back in and I won my first trophy. So I'm driven by my failures. Everything that I wasn't good at, I'm a professional at. Everything, I could not defend myself. I became a martial arts world champion. I went bowling and never had bowled before. And after a martial arts event that I won everything. And my first game was 25 and they got on the PA system and made a joke out of it. Everybody was clapping and laughing for me, and laughing at me. And I came back and actually the bowling center was right across the street from my martial arts school. I had never been there.
Wow.
And so I went over to that Monday. I went over and I paid the guy at the pro shop to start teaching me how to bowl. So I didn't go out there and grab a ball and pick it up and start bowling. I started getting lessons was the first thing. So always have a coach. If you want to be great, have a coach. Don't reinvent the wheel. And I bowled about 50 games every week. I bowled so much that the bowling center stopped charging me. So it was like me having my own bowling lane, bowling, I come in anytime, bowl as much as I want to. I never got charged for it, charged to bowl. I won 40 amateur titles and everybody was complaining about me bowling with a handicap. And God said for me to turn pro. So April 15th, 2002, I turned pro on the PBA tour. I was working at Duke and sitting in the office talking to my boss. He says, "You bowl, right?" I said, "Yes, sir." So how would you like to be the bowling instructor for the university? I go, okay. Okay. I didn't know a thing about teaching bowling. I knew how to bowl, but to teach bowling was something else. And that's how I became the coach. And, it's just been great that so many doors have opened in my life and for me to walk in. We must identify opportunities and take the advantage of opportunities. And if you're working from, meditation has always been a part of my life. I'm certified as a motivational coach. I've written, quite a few of my own motivational CDs, meditation CDs, and I taught mindfulness at Duke University. So I've always been connected to the inner me. And that's where, Mike, that's where it really happens. Before we can, control that external part of who we are, we have to control the internal part. And from a spiritual place, that's where you have to be able to hear God speaking to you.
Yeah.
Every book I've written, the last two Christian books I've written is because it was because God spoke to me in a dream and said for me to do it. And, of being that spirit. And what did I do? I got up and I went and did it. And so these books are impacting people's lives, but they're not just written because they're things I want to do to make money. I look at money as an outcome of doing a great job. And when a lot of people read my material, then that's where, that's an outcome. So I really look at what I'm doing is to moving from my failures and turn them into my successes. For everything that I was weak in, I could not do, those are the things that people know me most for, that I have overcome them and achieved a certain amount of success in those areas.
Talk about that a little, Jesse, because all of us, nobody's immune from failure. And, in fact, I was having a conversation with my daughter last night and we were talking about perfection and failure. And I said, you're going to fail a lot more than you're going to achieve, perfection. But in that failure, there's an opportunity to learn. And so talk about that. What I've seen from you, you'll put in the work, you'll get it done. And talk about that. What is there's something different that you're driven to succeed at all these things. What is it in your mind?
Well, I guess it's to laugh at me is one of the worst things you can do. That is the worst thing, and because there's something that's inside of me that I never had before, that my martial arts taught me about, that
Yeah.
that really just took hold. The kid that couldn't defend himself, and now he's winning all the tournaments. So my weakness, or turned into my strong points, but they're because I had to work at it. And you hear many athletes they were not good athletes, but they worked until they became great athletes. And that's what you do. You train for that. You have to master that. And that's what I've done in the martial arts. As a 10th degree black belt, which is, Grand Master, is everything I've done, I've worked on mastering that. You master the technique, you master the kick, you do it better than anyone else. You combine things. I studied several different styles of martial arts, and combining those, because each one had a different meaning to me. Karate side is the hard side, dynamic, very powerful, very strong. And then I began to study Aikido, because Aikido has the flow and energy flow that I don't have to hurt you. If I applied karate skills on you, you would never forgive me.
Well, I feel a little safer right now. So thanks for
then I have an option. The Aikido side allows me to control a situation. I don't have to destroy the situation, that I can control it. And you see, that's the whole concept about hard and soft, and in life it's the same thing. If you're just a one-dimensional person, then you're not able to get the full benefit of life. Sometimes you have to be strong and hard. Sometimes you have to be soft. And so to be able to do that, and being able to integrate that into my bowling, and that's one of the reasons I started studying Aikido, because bowling needed finesse and not power. And so I studied the Aikido, and I took the Aikido principles and I added it to my bowling. I've coached a lot of the universities, their sports programs, martial arts. I was at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, for about 6 years on the Mac Brown, training their football program to integrate the principles of martial arts. And this is what we do in business. Next week, I'm speaking at Nike, but that's what I'm talking about, the principles and philosophies behind the martial arts. How do you put it into business? So it's really about educating yourself. A person could be a martial artist, but yet and still not understand philosophy, or not understand mindfulness, or they may be connected to the physical side only. And martial arts is much more than the physical side, but there's not a lot of people that study martial science. And, that is the study of the martial arts, is principles, outcomes, and effects.
I listen, I'm learning on the fly here, just listening to you about the martial arts. It's not something that I've incorporated, and I've been involved in a lot of athletics, but I've never done any martial arts other than watching the Karate Kid, which is a great series. I love the Karate Kid, but how can somebody take this mindfulness and incorporate it into their life, whether they're in business or just their life in general? Because you talk about this a lot, and I think it's really important to be in the right mindset. And I say, when I talk with you, I love it, because we talked the other day and you're like, Mike, I see a sneaker line, Mike. And I'm like, holy cow, Jesse, you're like, just, but I love that, because, so much of the time we, as people, and I've done this. So, I'm not pointing fingers, we think too small. We think too small. And there's so much out there, as a publisher, you're into the storytelling. Get your story out there. You have a story to tell. And that is so powerful, because I try to do the same thing, in my True Man Life coaching, on the podcast. Story is everything, because they're so powerful. I was online earlier today and somebody said they listened to the podcast and how, it helped them. Basically, they thought they were alone, right? You're never alone. Your problems or challenges are only unique to you, but somebody's walked that path before you. And that's why the power of story is so vitally important. So I said a lot and I don't even remember what question I asked you. So,
well, that's true. I started with the publishing. I've published 32 books, and it was 2015 that I realized that we had come across something that a lot of people wanted.
yeah.
And that was the autobiography books, and that we were putting together, and people wanted to be a part of it. We created a successful publishing that I'm getting all this success from. We decided to share this with others.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can create six-figure revenues, then you can create six-figure revenues. So helping people to tell their story and then be able to monetize their stories, because you got a book, and one of three reasons you have a book is something you always wanted to do, and it doesn't matter if it succeeds or not. You just want to do this book. And the second reason is that you do a book because you have something that you want to use the book to help you to promote. That's like the True Man. Your book is to promote your podcast, but it's to promote the speaking and all the other things that you're going to be doing. So your book is that big ticket. You send it off to a few people. They invite you to speak. That's why I'm at Nike, because they already know I have books out. They know the topics that I speak on. So, and plus this is my third trip there speaking for them, or, in their events. So they already know that. So because we wanted to not just have the focus on myself for everything I do, and if you're going to do it with me, it motivates me even more. So
I can vouch for that.
What's the best job? What would I do for free, but I get paid for? So this is one of those jobs that I would share with you everything I know for free. But in there, we've turned it into a business. We decided in July that, okay, this is going to be a business. And when we did, Jim had been hanging out with me. Natalie came on board. Buddy came on board. So we've done a lot in the past 4 months of turning people into international best-selling authors. But that's another door. It was an idea and a concept. Do you let those things pass by? Or I try to share with people, if you're living in purpose, and Martin Luther King had a purpose. Steve Jobs had a purpose. The Wright brothers had a purpose. Henry Ford had a purpose. If they had not been here and contributed the way they contributed, our lives could be totally different. So there is a purpose. So I'm walking in my purpose. It's like our new book. The purpose is to help people realize that they can forgive and love. They don't have to hold on to what is a crippling burden for them to be. So this is a part of my purpose for me to be here in this time, this place, is that, this is why I'm here. I'm here to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, the beautiful part about, what you do, you love it so much. You write the books. You're an author as well, and so and I learned so much from you, but as a result of that, so you've got this new book out. God forgives. Why not you? So there, he's holding it up. Yep. Let's talk about this. So I know in talking with you, man, you get an idea in your head, and sometimes I hold back on my ideas because I don't want you to steal them. Because the next thing I know, you got a book out, But this is one of them. So how did this concept, evolve? I know there's a good story behind it.
Well, it actually, with me, the book really is about what I was going through, about 8 weeks ago. And that was, because of
You
my
see how
nature.
fast he moves?
Yeah.
You can't keep up with this guy, I'm telling you.
And what had happened was that, my sister, my daughter had really bothered me, and I'm cutting them. My whole thing is, your friend or your foe. So make your choice. If you go against me, that is wrong. But I'm just saying that was my mentality. But that's how I got things done with that mentality.
Yeah.
Go and do it, and there's no gray. It's either right or it's wrong. And as my daughter would say, it's either my way or the highway. But my whole family was like that. And it wasn't until 8 weeks ago, we talk about and we say the word God, we say spirituality. It doesn't matter who people want to believe in what. I'm just going to talk about my experience. So, I'm a minister. I'm on this journey, and this was happened. I did my initial service about 6 weeks ago. So, so in this whole process, God showed me that I was a flawed person. And he showed, it was like in this chair I'm sitting right now, it's 1:00 in the morning, and I'm getting ready to get up, and it was like someone shoved me back down the chair and gave me an out-of-body experience and had me to go back in this conversation and showing me the damage that had been done in my family. It's a generational curse that my family was an unforgiving family.
Yeah.
And, how many people had lost their lives because they couldn't forgive, and began to show me these things. And then he brought me to the future and had me to look at my children that I love dearly. But I would kick them to the curb the moment that, this is old school. And they pretty much, they know that information. They've seen their grandparents. They know me, what I'm going to do. I'm not but you see, all those things in this spiritual moment was being shown to me. And then it began to show me my grandkids. I've got 2 grand boys. They're phenomenal kids, but they're looking at this information and learning this information. My granddaughter's getting ready to have a baby in a few weeks, and it's going to be a boy. And God showed me that my behavior and my impact, how it was impacting my family. And he said that I am the cornerstone to my family, and that it was my responsibility. And they began to show me all these things I didn't know, scriptures, and I was just directed to these places. And before, and I was sitting in my chair until 4:00 in the morning. I wrote 20 pages of this book, in that period of time, of God just speaking to me and directing me. And I created a list of people that I had conflict with. My daughter and my sister. I went to them, and I'm not saying that I still believe that they were right about what happened, but I forgave them for it. And then God said that I have to learn to look through someone else's lens and not my own.
Yeah.
And I have never done that before, and it began to show me the basic thing. I've said the Lord's Prayer for, I'm 69. I've said the Lord's Prayer for 68 years.
Yeah.
But I never listened to it.
Ooh. And
God began to show me that in my first prayer, it talked about trespass against me and forgiveness and the basics. And he said, say the Lord's Prayer 3 times a day use it as your affirmation. So if someone is having issues in forgiving, take that prayer and use it 3 times a day. An affirmation is what you say over and over. It can be good, it can be bad. It really begins to stick in your head. So this book came about because I was shown in a spiritual sense about the flaw in my life. And as I'm approaching to become a minister, I take it very seriously as I take my martial arts, my bowling. I'm here to help you understand. I have studied the Christian communication of what to say and to have a better understanding to help someone else understand it. So yes, and I have another book I wrote last year. It's called God Gives Me Vision. Learn to receive God's abundance. I had 10 people say to me, Jesse, you have vision. Jesse, you have vision. Then I went to sleep and God spoke to me and told me to write the book and release it on my birthday.
You got to be careful when you go to bed, Jesse. I mean, they seem to be coming at you when you get
hey, we all have dreams.
It's true.
We dream it depends on what you're thinking when you go to bed and you go to sleep, what's going to be happening in your dreams and what you're experiencing. So, but you see, but that's another sense of communication.
Yeah.
Because, when children are born, they're asleep.
Yeah.
And we smack them and wake them up. So in that brain level frequency, that's how we're communicating.
Well, Jesse, let me ask you this. I'm kind of curious. Why do you think at 1:00 in the morning you're sitting in your chair there? Why do you think? Have you had time to digest this? Why do you think God gave you this vision all of a sudden about forgiveness in that moment?
Well, I think it was the damage that I was about to do.
Ooh.
My sister is she's a minister. She's always been my right-hand person.
Yeah.
My daughter is a minister. And, I really, I really feel that there was a message for me to learn from this experience. How can I help the world to be better?
Yeah.
Mike, when you say to me, Jesse, how you doing? And what do I say? Better, better, and better. And now I say better, better, and better, trying to make the world a better place.
Yep.
So you say it and you want to do it. So, but you have to learn. So I've got a degree in 3 or 4 hours of the message, but that's the whole power. So I don't consider myself a religious person. I consider myself a spiritual person. There is a difference in that.
Yeah. Explain it in case there's somebody listening that might not know.
Well, the problem becomes you've got all these denominations, all these types of religions.
That's a whole other podcast.
But that's it. And everybody wants to say they're right. You see, but being a spiritual person is about your personal relationship with God, your higher power, whatever you believe.
Yeah.
That's something else. So that's not about. I'm not a Baptist, or it's not about the religion. It's about your spiritual relationship.
I agree. I agree with you 100%.
Right. That's only because when you die, the religion didn't die with you.
Right.
Right. I'm going to be around for a long time. I speak it and it is so. But that's what I'm saying is that you and living heaven on earth. Learn to be the best you can be here. You don't know, you have faith in the hereafter, but living here on earth, being able to do good things. That's like your true man. What is a true man? A true man understands responsibilities.
Yeah.
Right. A true man understands what they're responsible for. Their responsibility to themselves, to their families, to their purpose.
Yep.
Because if you don't ask that question, what is your purpose? That true man may just wander through life and get to the end and say, well, it was just life, but a true man understands, because a true man understands and develop relationships with others, with God, all that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's always a beautiful discussion I get to have, because obviously true man is, Jesus Christ. It's his walk on earth, and he's the ultimate model. So you can either wander through earth as a man, or you can model your walk on earth as a true man. Wow. Somebody write that down. That was pretty good. So yeah, I mean, and the beautiful part of it is, and I tell people this all the time, and it's one of the reasons why it's so important to write a book about it, is, for some people, they get the whole true man concept right off the bat. And for others, it's so subtle. They just, they like, what is it? What is that? And it's just one of those things where people miss the fact that Jesus Christ was on earth as, a true man. And and he gives us all the tools. It's right there in scripture. In fact, inside baseball stuff, some of the stuff I'm working on right now, really, I could break true man down to, I never know how to pronounce this. Colossians, it's potato, Galatians chapter 5, right? Fruit of the Spirit. I mean, it pretty much lays out what a true man is right there. And so it's a pretty easy definition. Right now, Jesse, I'm targeting that as maybe the, like the third book. I think we could write a whole book about Galatians chapter 5. I've thought about this. I'm going to shut up because now you're going to write it.
That's right. Take action, or you just like the journal. You better be writing.
I know. Be careful. Be careful if you ever meet Jesse.
Well, think about that for a second, Mike. That's a good point. I think that we can, probably leave with, is that you have an idea and a concept. If that idea and concept was in God's purpose, think about it. That we're virtual, and so, but what if we didn't have these tools? Then we would not. We don't have any idea what we would do. But just think about, maybe you were the person that was scheduled to invent Zoom, and you decide not to do it. Then you look and you go, man, somebody invented Zoom. They named it the same thing I was going to name it. Someone stole my idea.
Right.
How did they do that? How did they get in my head? But you know what it is if it's in God's purpose and you don't want to do it, you have this great idea and you don't want to do it. But if it's in purpose, it's going to happen, because God's going to give it to somebody else. It's going to happen. And that's the reason we have these things. We have the computer, we have the cell phone, we have all these things over this short period of time. Because when I was growing up, we didn't have these types of tools. All this is new. But all of it is in this purpose for this time. So we have all those things. So if you have a great idea for a book or a great idea and you believe it in your heart, learn to react and act on those things. And when you do, you're going to see that you become this creative person, because you are an action taker. And so, that is the key. Well, I mean, I'm all over it.
And the opportunity to make an impact. So, you write a book about forgiveness. I mean, this is the ideal impact message. We were talking about it briefly before the podcast. Forgiveness in and of itself is such an important concept. I mean, we're right around Thanksgiving. You really can't have Thanksgiving without some level of forgiveness. Probably, gratefulness. I think all those words, they're all different, but they kind of all blend together one way or another, and, but what a gift to be able to talk with people, teach people, introduce people to a book where they can discover forgiveness. And the beautiful part of it is I mean, you're a living, breathing example of this because you were able to forgive as a um, uh, sitting down and writing this book. And
Yeah.
that's an incredible thing. So talk about how this whole concept of forgiveness has helped heal you and your family. Because a lot of people go through this, Jesse. I mean, forgiveness is a big deal. I mean, your story, again, as I say all the time, it's unique to you, but man, a lot of people suffer from this. They walk around with anger and, frustration. And I hear these stories all the time. I haven't talked to so-and-so in 5 years. I haven't seen my mom in 10 years. What a horrible way to go down,
Well, this is the reason why, of the message to write the book. It was not a thought in that process until it wasn't a thought. And God said, that's what God said to me in this spiritual hearing. God said to me, God forgives, why not you? And that became the name of the book. And it was sort of like, like this giant voice is talking to me from a spiritual place. It's like, God forgives, why not you?
Yeah.
And that sums it up. And from that, I feel great. I have, eliminated, the people that I felt that I needed to say I'm sorry to, whether they believe it or not. And I just I feel free.
Yeah.
I feel great. And I feel great is because not only has it helped me, but just talking to people and how many relationships in this past 8 weeks that I've been able to bring back together, just talking about the idea and concept. I was talking with a gentleman, telling him about the book. He went and called his son and his daughters. They hadn't spoken in 3 years. And, he's able to go by the house. They were able to interact. I moved past that, with my sister. We are back in our great relationship. My daughter, I'm hanging out at a concert with them. The boys had to play for, had a orchestra concert. So we were hanging out this week. But that had not happened, that those moments that I'm having, that wouldn't have happened. So that's the great part. I was able to save a relationship that I truly love.
Yeah.
And I was able to save that because I had a chance to look at myself, not at them. Like I said, I still don't agree with them, but but through their lens, they're right. Through my lens, I don't even look through my lens anymore. So I don't even deal with that, even with that conversation. But that's what we have to do. We have to heal. We have to heal the country.
Yeah.
We have to heal the community. We have so many things that's happening. And we have to do what we're doing right now, Mike. We instead of all the Fox News and CNN News, we have to take these little pieces and talk about healing and the rewards from it and how do we become better.
Well, there's so much redemption just in this whole idea of forgiveness. There's just so much. And when you have redemption, you've got freedom, just like you were talking about. And, when we have, conversations with people that we may not disagree with, but most likely really love them, right? I mean, you can fight through anything just by forgiving somebody. And, we're never going to agree. That's why we're all individuals. So anyway.
And that's on you. So
yeah,
if that person chooses that they want to hold on to those feelings, those emotions, I'm not able to stop them.
right.
I can only control me and how I feel in that. I ask for forgiveness from my heart place. And so it's up to that person if they want to receive it. If they choose not to, it doesn't. I'm relieved. That part is off of
Right,
me.
right, right.
That I'm here waiting to bring relationships together, and sometimes people enjoy hating.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is true. So, Jesse, tell everybody. We'll, of course, put this in the show notes, and I'm going to try to bring up my little uh, book here. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of your new book.
Well, one of the easiest ways to do that is going to my website, and that is Minister Jessie, and that's Jessie Bowen, BOWEN.com. So, especially during the Thanksgiving holidays, if you go to my website and purchase a copy of the book, I'm going to send you a second copy to give to someone else. So that's what we really want to do. So when you purchase a copy, then we're going to give you a copy. You can also go and get a copy of the book on Amazon. It's probably at other outlets, shortly,
Yeah.
but so on Amazon, the Kindle is there. We're working on the ebook. It's going to be out. We're working on the meditation. So Mike, what we did, we just didn't write the text on it. We've actually recorded the meditations of just the mindfulness meditation. So there's about 5 tracks of meditation on the MP3 download that people can do. And what I'm going to do, if they go and purchase over the holidays and purchase the book, I'm going to give them a copy, and I'm going to also give them the meditations. The meditation scripts are in the book. They can use them and record them themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm going to record it. Then so you get the 2 books. You get the meditation. We have the workbook is going to be coming out in January, and then by February, this will actually be an online course that you can go through. You get a certificate at the end that says, "I am a forgiver."
There you go. And I just be forewarned. The last time I went through a meditation with Jesse, I fell asleep. It was wonderful, actually. Yeah, you got that soothing, meditative voice. So
it's the Barry White side. Find a quiet place.
You're not going to sing for us, are you?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that Barry White voice. Jesse, thank you for being on the day. Listen, I want to encourage everybody to go get this book. We need more forgiveness in our world. And Jesse's an incredible author, an incredible person to be around, very motivational. And I think you'll really enjoy this book. So we will put the links in the show notes, and go grab that book for the holidays, and get another one, put it in somebody else's hands, and heal your family. So, Jesse, thank you for being on the True Man podcast with me.
Well, thank you for having me, and happy holidays, and may everybody be blessed. And hey, 23 is your best year yet.
Amen to that. Take care.